And welcome to the first video of Iron Wolves Productions. Many of you from the Reforged community know me as Bilbo T. Baggins. I am going to be playing this first game here with a friend of mine, who a few of you may know as Rusty Shackleford. Today we're featuring Dalamroth versus Isengard. Now, this isn't normal Reforged. This is a case of me having gone into the game files for Reforged and having made several changes. So it's kind of like an alternative mod, like a sub mod of Reforged, which is in and of itself a sub mod. So in any case, let's set aside the sub mod's inception for a minute, and we'll talk about this. I'll give a brief overview of the sorts of changes I've made, because there's not a ton, really. So the big thing I've done is I've just gone in and changed the way that Rangers work. The reason I've done that is because I didn't like that a unit that costs between 600 to 800 florins can wind up with several hundred kills. It's mostly just the body piercing mechanic that I don't like. So what I've done is I have reserved body piercing for very elite units, i.e. Blackshot Dragon Slayers, Blacklock Engineers, that sort of thing. A lot of the General's Bodyguard tier Javelin units also have that. Actually, what I'm thinking of, I'm going to slow this down here so we can talk a little bit about what I've done before the game starts. So what I have done for Rangers, though, for most of them, is I've given them armor piercing and then some kind of effect with their arrow. It might be a high mass arrow, it might be poison, so they still stand out relative to the other archers. Of course, they're already, as they were in what I'm going to refer to as Vanilla Reforged, they were already, to a certain extent, standout units, just in the fact that they can hide anywhere. They have good melee stats, and they have greater range and better accuracy. But you know, I think it's fair enough to make them, to give them a special kind of ammo. In the case of Dalamroth, I wanted to reflect that by giving the Wonders of Nimmerdale, aka now called the Wardens of Nimmerdale, I wanted to give them the same ammunition that the Godhalim Einar use from Imladris. The now Wardens of Nimmerdale are much better than the vanilla Reforged counterparts, because so the other thing I've tried to do is, if a faction's best unit, ranged unit, was their Rangers, there they go again, and as is the case with Dalamroth, I turned them into a General's Bodyguard tier unit. So in this case, I guess the general rule of thumb is, if it's got Warden in the name, it's General's Bodyguard tier. So it's got 2 hit points, probably, not universally, but probably has a 2-handed sword, and has some kind of really unique AP arrow, arrow type of some kind. I have made some other changes. I'm going to have a link in the description to a Discord for Alternative Reforged that will have a change log showing everything relative to the current patch of Reforged. At this time, that's 0.97.1. The cold fix. And, but we'll crack on with Isengard and Dalamroth. Now, another thing I did for Dalamroth is I unlocked 2 of their previously locked away cavalry units. What were called Swan Knights from the OG Third Age are now the Iron Swan Captains of Tolfalas. The other one that I will not feature in this game are the Tirathair Lancers. And the reason they're not going to feature in this game is because I'm going up against Isengard, whose almost entire army consists of anti-cavalry. So I wanted to bring some kind of melee cav to... it would have felt weird if I didn't sally out as Dol Amroth, so I thought I'd try, but I'm not expecting to accomplish a ton. Maybe I can try to, like, snipe an important unit if Rusty's a bit careless, but even if that's the case, I'm not going to get too much of a chance, but, just for fun, I thought I'd try it. So I'm just going to try to move around a lot of these units now that the game has started, because I was having trouble getting units to go where I wanted. Oh, another unit that I changed significantly for Dol Amroth are what were the Black Swan Renegades. I've changed the name of them to the Iron Swans of Tolfalos. They have a mass buff now. They're a Great Shield unit, so they have a mass of 8. So put them in shield wall and bash through a unit like a bowling ball through pins. And once they're through, they have an improved melee attack that retained its AP, and being a quote-unquote Great Shield unit, their shield value is significantly higher. They did get more expensive, I believe. They cost 900 florins now instead of 8, and you can still take 2 of them. And I think those are the major changes I made for Dol Amroth. The other couple minor ones, I reworked the way that General's Bodyguard tier two-handed sword masters work. I tried rebalancing them with each other because it seemed like there were some massive gaps in outcomes of like 1v1 matches between the various two-handed swordmaster uber tier units that the various factions had. So, for example, the Harbingers of Castamere didn't stand a chance against the Nazkai. The Vanguard of King Elisar, which are also in the game, didn't stand a chance against Temple Executioners, and so forth. Those sorts of things have been addressed. There are still clear winners, but whenever you see an uber tier two-handed swordmaster unit get into combat with another, you can expect that in a vacuum, where in a fair fight between the two, that the winner will be reduced to will take at least 2/3 of their unit size and casualty. So they'll be knocked down to 20-some, maybe 30-some rounds. And so Haven Guard, the change I made, the two forms of changes I made for those units are either changing their skill / their armor, or changing their weapon to be AP. Haven Guard are one of those that became AP. So that's one change I made for Dol Amroth. And the only other change I remember making is Tarnostian Spears. You can now take 3 of those before the red letter. I don't think that did too much for them. But, it's just nice to have that screen for having another selection for a siege battle like this. Now, let's see here. Yeah, see, Rusty's moving his Isengard Ballista out. I think I'm going to try to snipe that with the Iron Swan captains. So we'll go through my army real quick. I took 3 units of Tarnostian Spears, 2 units of Belfalas Pikes. Those were previously called Dorn and Earl Pikes, but other than the name change, they're the same. I have... Let's see here. I should have... Yes, so there's 2 units of Perithal Champions, the Wardens of Nimmerdale, the 2 units of Iron Swans. I thought I had Dismounted Knights of the Silver Swan around here somewhere. Ah, yeah, they're out here. Okay, so there's the 3rd unit of Tarnostian Spears, 2 units of Dismounted Silver Swan Knights. And back up here, I have unit Haven Guard, and 1, to 3 units of Ethelon halberds, and that's my army. I didn't want to bring any archers other than the wardens, because I wanted to... This battle's a test more than anything else, and I wanted to see if, with the changes I made, can Dol Amroth go toe-to-toe in a siege battle against a faction like Isengard, who are very good in siege battles, with just pure martial melee might. And so that's what this battle is really about. So here comes my Sally. We'll go up to 1 speed. And later on in the battle, I'll take you through what Rusty brought and the changes I've made to Isengard. But we'll watch this Sally out that is inevitably going to be ill-fated, but still entertaining as a spectacle. So yeah, I'm going to try to get his Isengard Ballista. And I'm frantically trying to click over off to the right, from my perspective, so that they'll actually go into the crew, but they refuse, and I guess I did start at that too late, so they charge into them. Frustrating. Now, Iron Swan captains are very, very good melee cavalry unit with their two-handed swords, their slide-hand or clay. And against Dunlanding veterans, they may actually come out on top against just a single unit, because I reduced the anti-cav bonus that they get. What it is normally +3, I reduced it down to +1 because I didn't see a good reason that an axe and shield unit should have such a potent melee or anti-cav bonus for melee attacks. What I'll probably do though is I'll keep their low attack value and give them armor piercing to compensate for that though. So I come over here, trying to just look for soft targets, find some more vets. Get a few kills, run back out, because I want to try to cycle into that ballista crew again. Now, he's got these pikes out of formation so they can run. Try to put the Iron Swan captains back in here. Now, he's screaming, he's got them in the way, and this is the one benefit I will have for this. He's got, yeah, they popped up over there. His rangers, the Lert's hunting pack, excuse me, they're very similar in a lot of ways to what the Wardens of Nimerdale are. They're a General's Bodyguard tier unit that fire black arrows, which are high mass arrow. It's basically like they shoot javelins. So it's not body piercing, but it is high mass, and it disrupts units, and it is armor piercing, and it's a high failure missile attack. So I'm going to try to get into either Berserkers. This is a target-rich environment back here. The only problem is this decimation from the Lert's hunting pack is going to rout them. But that is using up his ammo supply, and it's just sad. I won't pretend that was a pretty bad sally, but, you know. It'd be weird to not try, at least, as Dol Amroth. Yeah, and Lert's hunting pack are pretty vicious. They too are also 2 hit points with a two-handed sword. And yeah, for all the complaining Rusty did about the Wardens of Nimerdale in this battle, his Lert's hunting pack are quite potent. Anyhow, so I'm just going to kind of reshuffle my units inside the keep, and I guess I'll take you through what Rusty's brought and some of the changes I've made to Isengard. Now, I was playing around with the idea of having four engines in the Isengard Ballista crew, but I've since changed that back to 3, because it didn't really provide them with any serious... Like, their DPS is only slightly increased, and with the same amount of ammo, without changing the ammo, they just run out of ammo faster. So what I've done is I've reduced I've changed it back down to 3, but I have increased their range and their ammo supply by a wee bit. The range was surprisingly low for a ballista, actually. Relative to the other ballistas, it was something like 40 meters shorter. I think it was something in the ballpark of like 340 meters, which is quite low. So I increased it up to 370, and I gave them, I think, 5 more bolts. Yeah, that sounds correct. So cut down their ballistic crew to 34. I was really hoping I'd be able to wipe out an entire crew, but, you know, oh well, is what it is. Dunlin Vets, I've already talked about them. Looks like he's got 2 units of those. He's got Pikes, who weren't really touched at all. They haven't changed in any way. Nazkai, I may have modified their skill slightly because it was... I think I reduced it by like 1 or 2 points. It's still basically the same. Their armors, yeah, there's not really much about them that changed. Let's see, he's got some Uruk-hai infantry back here. Haven't touched them at all. I think he may have 2 units of Uruk-hai infantry. He's got Uruk-hai Reavers. Again, they haven't changed. Guards of Orthanc, though, have. I had to look at their stats in the game files, and while impressive, they don't do a ton of damage, really. They have a melee attack of 8, I believe it is, and it's not AP, Citadel Guard are, so I decided to let Isengard have it, have 2 of these before the Red Limit. Really what they've got going for them is really solid shield value, really solid armor, decent attack that's not AP, but still with the Spear Malice, they're not going to be destroyers of worlds by any stretch of the imagination. But they've got 2 hit points. You know, just a really solid line holding unit and nasty screen against cavalry units, I suppose. Uruk-hai Reavers, like I said, they haven't changed. I think he had another unit of those somewhere. Maybe not. Berserkers, he's only taken a single unit of these, I believe. Or were there some over here? There's Nazkai. Yeah, he's only taken that 1 unit. I will probably change it so that you can take 2 units of Berserkers before the Red Limit, because they're relatively easy to counter, like shoot them or just be able to dish out a high volume of medium or low tier damage, and they go down pretty quick. Snaga, I think he's got 2 units of Snaga skirmishers. I haven't done anything with them. And Trolls of the Light. Haven't touched them either. He actually has 2 Isengard ballistas in this, so you don't see that often, but we didn't set any kind of rules for this. We were just playing around, testing out the changes. And there goes the gate. And what I'll do is I'll come over to the DB wall, and we will speed it up just long enough for him to move the siege tower into place. And he's going to try a tactic that I don't know if he thought of this independently from me or if he watched me do it, but this is a trick I like to do, and I wasn't expecting him to do it. The idea is you move in a siege tower, ladder, whatever. you leave it there. Oh, you move it in with a cheap unit you don't really care about as a sacrifice. You bait the defenders into moving some kind of unit up onto the wall to respond, and then you open up with your artillery right here. And he's going to do that here in just a moment. He's going to move some ladders with Urukai infantry. I personally would have done this with... If it were me, I would have done this with another unit of Urukai infantry, and then backed them away, and then shoot. And then I would have used my Dunlin veterans up here. Go into the death trap first, and screen for your other units, because as it stands, Tarnostian spears can actually beat Dunlin veterans, surprisingly enough. Tarnostian spears are not a very impressive spear unit, but the melee skill disparity between the two units isn't very great. It's probably even, if anything, it might even be in favor of the Delamroth spears. I have to check. So even with the spear malice, they don't really have any kind of advantage going for them. And see, this is what I'm talking about. He's hammering the wall. I catch on to what's going on, rush to get them off, and yeah. See, the other, you have to be careful though. I mean, losing a handful of Urukai infantry isn't the end of the world, but I would have tried to. I would have kept them back down and then just rushed them through the gap that you create. There's no point in losing infantry models when you don't have to. But I think he's got the right idea. I just don't know if I would have executed it the same way. And the big problem he's going to run into here, and let's see if he does it, because he's only fired. Yeah, right there. So yeah, this is the problem. If he's going to fire in here, see, yeah, now he's bringing in Urukai Reavers, which they'll do damage, but I would suggest that 2 axe-wielding units against a well-shielded unit with spears and good armor is not the answer. It's not what the doctor really ordered. The shield will mitigate any AP you've got. Excuse me, and just won't be able to kill them. And I would have only sent 1 unit up here, I think. So I think he's got the right idea. The other problem he's going to run into here is if he knocks this down, because I don't think he can move a tower or ladder set any closer to the main keep than he's done with this tower he's now destroyed. You know, destroying towers is just part and parcel of doing this tactic, and it's, you know, who cares? Towers are literally free in this game. The problem he's going to run into here, though, is he's not going to be able to access this gateway, this doorway up here, to get up on top of the walls and then down. Whereas I will be able to have access here. And so I'll be able to move units up onto this wall and then down and be able to shoot him in the back, say, if I were to bring a ranged unit, as he's moving his units up. So that's... I think that's a bit of a lack of foresight on his part. I don't know if he was aware of it at that point, though. But yeah, I like the general strategy, though. It was good. I can see what he was trying to do, and it was good. Now, the other thing I would say that might be getting to him a little bit is I think he's just not realizing that his ballista are still firing at me. after I've brought them into the wall, because these walls cannot be destroyed. You'll never see them take more than 1% damage, because it's a building rather than a wall. So, what I've decided to do is just pull back into the main keep. This, token defense down here, really. I think it was Windy Pops who said recently that wall fights are a distraction, and that's exactly right. The only exception to that, really, though, is, as I described here, this could be a good access point to get into the main keep, and he's kind of thrown that away. Now, this is also unfortunate. You're losing, because this wall's so unstable, you're going to lose unit models as you come down. Let's see if anything can get up. Doesn't look like it. And this is just one of the quirks of these games. This is an old game. That's just kind of how it goes. Let's see. So yeah, the way I like to organize my defense on Helm's Deep is kind of like this. I stand to either side of the gateway. That way it's damn near impossible to get a shot on any of my units until you're like right in the gateway, and at which point I can just charge into. I find this gateway a little bit more difficult to defend because you really want to be far away from the opening to this gateway, because see that ballista back there? He can snipe me square through there. Now it's probably in fact impossible to try to thread the needle up here, but I don't want to give him any opportunity to do that, and so we wait. Wall there. Now Rusty is he's a very potent attacker when he sets his mind to it. He's very slow and methodical, which is, it's good, and it yields him results. I have to say, he can be tough to defend against if you count him out. So I'm going to try to really get ready here as best I can. Though really it's just going to be a game of waiting for him. But so, as I say, he's slow and methodical, but once he's ready to attack, he comes down on you like a ton of bricks, so he doesn't mess around as an attacker. Trolls climb up the ladders. I think it just looks ridiculous. The idea that a troll could climb these ladders is just silly to me, but it is what it is. Guards of Warthink are in here. Now, normally I would have archers up on these walls, but as Rusty has demonstrated with these dead Parathor, the little rampart, what's it called? Defensive, like cap to the wall here, is absolutely no real protection against something as brutally accurate as the Isengard Ballista. So I don't want to risk losing any Wardens in Nimmerdale to the Eisen Ballista, especially because I have my general in there. But Berserker's coming in. He's bringing the Ballista in. I do notice this, and I'm going to try to move my... Where are they at? Where are the wardens? There they are. Yeah. Moving the wardens of Nimrod. And as I said before, I gave them a two-handed sword animation. There's Imrahil, Lord of Swan. I'm going to try to set up shop here and shoot down to the ballistic crew. But they're moving pretty quick, so... Instead of that, we might have to pick a different target here. Let's see. Come on. Start shooting, please. Oh, combat's starting over here. Let's go over here. Scented pikes. I try to just, whenever I'm confronted with pikes like this, I try to just rush in units that are going to be able to hold pretty strong against the pike. So, preferably units with shields. And I try to rush them in before they can get their pikes down. Kind of knock them back to the heels. Actually, successfully doing this. Dunman veterans come in and add a bit of bulk to his lines. In this current version, they're not 100%, but the updated version that I've created after playtesting this, they are now a low attack. I think they have attack 4 or 5. It is armor piercing. And Nazkai Kainen, they are still the monsters they've always been. So that's going to turn this fight around. But really, I just need this line to hold for the moment because he sent in his trolls. And I want to deal with that. And I'm expecting... So normally I would expect more units to charge up. But he's done something I am of two minds of, Snaga. On one hand, it's really clever that he's going to be able to hit my core character units back, as well as the Tarnosian spears from the right, so they're not going to get their shield right. On the other hand, though, he's not occupying any of these melee, so I'm going to just be able to charge in the Tarnosian spears into the Snaga. One thing he's doing, though, is he's able to really thread the needle with his ballista back. And just, you hate to see it. You really hate to see it go into the poor Parathon. So, yeah. Wardens of Nimrod, I think I was trying to see if I couldn't, if there wasn't any kind of ground I could back up on to give me a little bit of an elevation, so I could shoot into them, but it wasn't really working out. So, plan B. Send in the Iron Swans. They're, pulling ball through pits. Good stuff. Good stuff. And, you know, before this, Swan Forge, there were no good factions that had a mass Great Shield pushing you, like Mordor and Angmar and Umbar. Dol-Amroth now have that. It's nice. It makes Dol-Amroth far more potent in a prolonged infantry melee fight. Now they're going to die pretty quickly. Already they've lost 30 or 40 men, now 50, doing this. But, you know, the formula is send in the Iron Swans, knock them over, send in everything else in their wake while they're distracted. He's trying to shoot me with the with his second ballista here. And that's going to get some kills, but it's probably going to kill at least as many of him as it will me. So I'm not so scared of it. I mean, look at all that. It's nuts. Crazy number of kills. Of course, it is killing a lot of them. I'm happy to let that happen. Not a whole lot I can do about it anyway, even if I did want to prevent that from happening. Got the wardens up here just in case if they manage to break through, because they are kind of kicking my butt out. So I'm going to try the same thing, because it seemed to have worked a bit on the other side. Push the Iron Swans down. Kind of bully them, shove them out of the way. The only thing about that, though, is that his ballista out here has a... whatever. Oh, he's moving it. But his Lord's hunting back if they should decide to, and his crossbows have a pretty good shot into me. And with the presence of berserkers and just the sheer mass of Urkai infantry out here, it's not really gonna go as well as I thought. But, you know, we're trying it out. Man, they can but they don't have a real massive... they don't have an abnormally large mass, like relative to other units that perform similar functions. It's just a mass of 8. They're able to really bully these Urkai around. Now, saying that, they are getting decimated at mana. But it's disrupted them long enough so that my Perithill and Carnassian spears can reform. And I can get my Wardens and Nimrnell down here because he didn't have the foresight to predict this. So there's nothing he can do to get up here in the melee with me. The only thing he could do to stop this is bring in like his crossbows back here and shoot. So he's going to bring in the Guards of Orthanc, and I think if they would have been in here maybe a little bit sooner, I don't know though. I mean, if they'd been in here any sooner, I guess they would have been thrown around by the Iron Swans, but yeah, I don't know. And he is absolutely teeing off into my Halberds that I've brought in here now to bring in some more AP now that the Iron Swans are gone. And he's just going to tee off into me with his crossbows. But here's the glorious Wardens of Nimrnell, descendants of the Philakron of the Sindarin lords, descendants of Nefelis. Handmaiden to hammer these units in the back. No shield values, really high strength, high mass, armor piercing. They don't have too much in the way of damage supply, so don't worry about it being that overpowered. I really want to knock these Guards of Orthanc down because they are so tough to get. So I changed targets. So I'd much rather deal with Urkai infantry and even berserkers in the late game than I would Guards of Orthanc. God, that ballista's just devastating. Love to see it. Yeah, over here, all there was some Nazkai. They might still be there. Yeah, there's still a few of them there. And I'm trying to make a push for his ballista down here. He's got his crossbows shooting at me. It was a long shot. And then he's got the Lord's hunting pack here, ready to just sideswipe me if I go too far. The ballista is clearly not afraid of shooting me, so I'm just going to pull back. Not worth it. Not a fight. Not a hill worth dying on. Both metaphorically and literally. And, yep. Here's the Wardens and Nimmerdale doing their thing. And the... Let's take a look at the Guards of War thing. They're down to 18. So they were pretty well able to cut them down, despite being 2 hit points. Their shield value wasn't able to come into play because I'm shooting them both in the right and or from the rear, so in neither case are they able to use their shield. But 2 hit points, really good armor. Wardens and Nimmerdale have done some good work. I'm going to send them in here, because at this point, I don't want to defend this lower level, lower tier of the keep. So I'm going to send everybody back. The one exception I'm going to make to that is the Haven Guard. I'm going to set up shop just on this side of the gateway. See if we can't ambush the Lurt's hunting pack once they come through. That's the plan. For over on this side. On the other side, I'm going to send in a couple of units to hold the line here. So, reasonably healthy unit of dismounted Silver Swan Knights pull pretty well, even against Berserkers, honestly. I should have used a unit of pikes, but I didn't want my pikes getting shot up anymore. So, I'll let you guys be the judge of whether or not that was a good idea. But so I left some halberds here to try to help the dismounted Silver Swan Knights hold back the tide long enough for all my other units to get back up here, including the Wardens and Nimmerdale, because they've got a lot of good use in melee now. So. See any action? See, I think people give the dismounted Knights of the Silver Swan a lot of shit, but to be honest with you, when they're in the right fight, they do good work. They do really good work. But yeah, so I wanted the halberds to get out of there, because that's still a really good unit of halberds. And so I just threw in the ragged remains of a Tarnostian spearman unit. And now I'm even going to try to get the dismounted Silver Swan Knights out. Will be... I did 6, but they had, to be fair to me, they had seen a lot of combat before, so a lot of them are probably down to just the 1 hit point. And I think I'm even going to be able to get the Tarnostian spears out, and honestly I don't really care if they break, because they'll just run back to the town center, and I'll get them on the final push. At least that was my thinking, so, you know, I don't care too much about that. Still waiting for the Lurt's hunting pack to come in here, though. They have yet to show themselves. And unfortunately for me... unfortunately for me, Rusty has noticed my ploy here. So the Haven Guard are going to have to get out of dodge. Up the stairs they go. And come out on top. And we're just going to run them. I don't want to be on the walls, like, at all. At this point, they're a death trap. Because he's got a ballista there that could be, like, side-swiping them. I shudder to think what would happen if he were able to get a good shot along that bit of stretch there as the Haven Guard were going single file. And if I were over here, or up over here, his ballista down there could maybe get a shot, and not worth it. Not worth it. So, yeah, I didn't mean for them to go up the stairs. I just wanted them to come back in here. So right now we're at 73 to 69. At this point, well, up until this point, I've been leading pretty consistently by about 5 to 10%. which is okay if you're an attacker. That's about what you would expect, but with my retreat, he was able to really gain ground and pass me up by a good 4% here, so... now I think it's a case of... See, I've taken out the Nazkai. I've really beat up on his berserkers. I don't remember how many there are, but nowhere near as many as I think he would want. I've torn his guards of Orthanc to shreds. Crossbows. I think they're out of ammo, actually. Looks like they are, yeah. So they're just discount Urukai infantry in melee at that point, which, you know, there are worse things in the game, but you prefer normal Urukai infantry. But yeah, here come the Lurtz hunting pack, and he told me in-game, I think he had only meant for them to come up to this point, so as they go through here, that was a misclick. He did not mean for them to go through here, because really, from his perspective, this is a viper's nest. Sending any unit alone, even if it were Nazkai, is just a death sentence for that unit. Especially if you're not pressuring the other side. So they come through here, and I distinctly remember in-game him saying, "Oh shit, why did I do that?" Now, I am rapidly clicking with the Haven Guard. They do not want to attack them for some reason. I don't know what it is about this area. It's kind of glitchy here. They just do not attack. You can see them wanting to. So I figure out, okay, well, I'll just click the ground over here, make them move into them, but they got away too quick. Damn shame. So yeah. At this point, I know that if I can keep the fight restricted to choke point A, choke point B, and the interior here, in a prolonged melee fight, I will win. If he's able to draw me out or compress me enough so that he can get his ranged units in here shooting into me, then he wins for sure. So he sends a few units back. He's going to try to buy himself some time to get... I think these are out of ammo. Yeah, they're out of ammo. But they're going to come down and try to engage me back here. The Berserkers and the Guards of Orthanc are down here. Yes, and this is something that was interesting. His Lurtz hunting pack, he was kind of able to spread them out in a weird way such that they can go over here and over here. I didn't get it. Strange. Very strange. But this fight here is going about as well as you could expect it to go. Probably the most one-sided fight that we're going to see. To be honest, I mean, the Lurtz hunting pack is really good. Don't get me wrong; they are very good in melee. But the Haven Guard here, they're now AP. Urukai infantry does damage. Even with a good shield value, it gives you some chance. The melee skill is both the Orcans and the Haven Guard. Shields is really making a difference. He's going to get some of his. Try to push his Lurtz hunting pack. Bear in mind, he's only been able to use some of his Lurtz hunting pack, but yeah, I can't blame him necessarily for doing an intro like this, because there's not really going to be a good spot for him to get shots into me. I guess maybe if he were to move, like, I think the best he could do, really, is either move them back here and pray he can shoot up and in, but there's something finicky about this spot where your units don't like to try to take shots into enemies that are behind this wall, as long as if you've got units in the way. They're just really picky about that. So, go in on the combat here. There we go. We've trapped the Guards of Orthanc in this red light. some of the witch hunting back in here. I do think they look a lot better, both them and the Wardens. I think they look a lot better with the, they seem more intimidating with the two-handed sword animation. Just look at this. This is how good these two units are. Against two basically full-strength units of pikes and halberds, they still think they can win. It's nuts. Stupid strong. And this is a terrifying sight for me. Isengard crossbows right there. If he were to pull them back and start shooting me, he'd have it. He could really do a lot of damage. Trouble is if he does that, then I'll just charge down and hit him. It's got the remnants of his berserkers here. They'll do good damage if they can get into my pikes before they get their pikes down. Now, clever play on his part, getting the Snaga in here after I moved everything to fight on that side. I noticed it just in the nick of time, though, and I'm able to bring in the Wardens and Nimmerdale into melee combat because they're long since out of ammo. And they will absolutely stomp Snaga skirmishers. Even in the normal version, the Reforged, they would still crush them. Snaga are just not impressive in melee. But, you know, they're cheap, though, so they do the job. He was able to get some good javelin throws into my back. Just good stuff. I shouldn't have thrown everything over there. I should have kept some kind of unit back here to prevent him from doing this. Because now he's just going to give up and trying to fight me in melee and just put them in guard mode. And this is insane how good their morale's holding. They've been wavering this entire time. And I don't know what it is about Isengard Snaga, but they seem to be able to keep their morale intact way longer than any of the other Horde factions. At least whenever I've played against them, that's been the case. I don't know if that's usually the case for other players. Yeah, I really like the changes I've made to the Wardens and Nimmerdale. I think they really seem more regal, more. I mean, obviously, I haven't made any cosmetic changes to them. They just seem more high elven in character in the way that they function. Two-handed sword masters and very good, very effective archers. But as I said before, for a complete list of changes, I will have a link in the description to the Discord, and I don't have the change log typed out yet, but I'll get around to it Discord later. Discord will also have links to videos like this. We'll have channels where you can get the files to be able to play this monitor. I'd love to have this. So yeah, I'm desperately pushing through to try to get to his crossbows. He's really going to try to be able to rattle into it. Unfortunately for him, as I said before, this is a really gimmicky area where units don't like to shoot into, even though I think they've got a pretty clear shot. They don't like to shoot into this blob because of the friendlies. So, I get this idea with my Wardens and Nimmerdale. Yeah, I send them over here because they still have the speed of Rangers. I decide, okay, we need to run them across the wall, down, around, and into either the ballistic crew, but preferably into the crossbows to keep them, or to at least cut down on their DPS potential. So really, that's about all the rest of us left. We're 87 for 80, so it's it's a decently close battle. Here come the Wardens, and he admits defeat because he said right there, yeah, I can't get any shot on you, and all I have are ranged units left. You've got way too much left for me to be able to win, and that's fair enough. I'm not going to get after him for that. I probably would have considered doing the same thing in his position. So that's the end of the replay. Let's take a look at the damage. Interestingly enough, so he lost 1942, but I only killed 1,500 if you include prisoners I took. I think a lot of the difference there is the conceding with a couple units left, and also I think he had a few units that routed off. But he did get more kills than I did, which is impressive. So we'll have a look at the casualties. See, Wardens in Nimmerdale, this is what I was talking to him about. You know, they cost significantly more than they do in normal Reforged now because they're uber tier units. They have an uber tier cost. They cost 1,200 florins, if I remember correctly. It might be 1,300, in fact. So if you want to, what I've tried to do really is, if you want a unit that's going to get a lot of kills, do a lot of work for you, naturally you're going to have to do the intuitive thing and invest in them. You're going to have to invest a lot of money into buying them. I think that's only fair. But anyway, yeah, so for as much complaining as he did, they didn't get that many kills, all things considered. Haven Guard did substantially better, but you know, you expect that from Haven Guard. Iron Swan Captain, surprisingly enough, despite how miserably they failed on their sally out, they still got 152 kills. Of course, a lot of those, almost all of those, in fact, were Dunlin veterans, so, you know, the jury's you guys, and you guys determine whether or not they actually got their cost back. I would say they did not, but Turnostine Spears did surprisingly well for a cheap unit with a very poor attack and the Spear Malice, and so that's what I was saying earlier, that I would have sent the Uruk-hai infantry to really twist the screws on them and capitalize on the fact that they're a low damage dealing unit that has the Spear Malice. I think he would have been able to mitigate that some. Yeah, okay, so thank you guys for joining me for this. I'll have this video up soon, and I will, again, I'll have a link in the description to the Discord I've created for all things Alternative Reforged. Maybe at some point, when I'm not so insanely busy with med school, I'll get around to making it to a proper submod. But I doubt it. It'll just be kind of a little side project that I'd love to have more people playing with me, though, because I do think that I do like the way the game plays after the changes I've made. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.